We're learning this mimer, this Hasidic discourse that was given by the Lubavitcher Rebbe in 1981, Tafshin Mem Aleph. And it talks about a very, very unique, a very unique subject, and that is the relationship between the Jewish people and Moses, and how it is that without Moses, in this case, we're talking, it was a mimer for Purim. So in this case, we're talking about Mordechi. So every generation, there has to be someone like Moses or Mordechi that's a completely different type of a Jew, a completely different type of a Jew than all the other Jews. How is he totally different? Because he is, you want to call it 100% Jew. He's 100% Jew. What's it mean 100% Jew? And he demands from all the other Jews that they also be 100%. What does it mean 100%? That he's totally self-sacrificing to God. Where's this thing of self-sacrifice? Why is this such a good thing? Isn't that like suicide or something? So no, exactly the opposite. That's the essence of life. That's what really brings life into the world. The whole purpose of Judaism is this world, is to be in the physical world, to fix the world, to perfect the world, not to leave the world, not to leave the world. But in order to perfect the world, is you have to be connected to the Creator. You have to be connected to the Creator. And you have to be connected to the Creator in a way that you become a vessel for the Creator. A vessel for the Creator. Maybe I'll give an example. It's not the example they're giving over here, but let's just give the example of almost everything in the world, right? You go to trade school, you go to music school, you go to sports school, and you learn a trade. You know, you learn how to be an auto mechanic, or you learn how to be a musician, or you learn how to be a doctor or whatever. So when you learn these things, so essentially what you're doing is you're just training yourself so that music can come through you, or that health can come through you, or whatever thing that you're doing can come through you. You just sort of make yourself a vessel to do this. So that making yourself a vessel means like hollowing yourself out. It means that's called bittul. It's called surrendering yourself to this goal that you want to make music, you want to make beauty in the world, you want to make health. So you're surrendering. So that whole idea of surrender, that's in Hebrew, that's called bittul. And that really is the essence of life. Like we said so many times, the heart, the lungs, the liver, they're working properly when you don't feel them, but they're not sticking out, right? If the heart, you feel, God forbid, a person feels his heart, it means that something's wrong. If a person feels his liver, his lungs, his kidneys, it means there's something wrong. Even if you feel your arms, your legs, usually if you're running, you're not thinking about your legs, your arms, you're just going for the goal, you're doing something, right? You're playing a piano, ask a person who's playing piano, how's your finger, how's your little finger feel? He'll become self-confident, conscious, he won't be able to do it. That's called bittul. The less a person thinks about himself as separate from life, from his goal, whatever. So the less life and the less success he'll have in that goal. So that the Jewish people are different. The Jewish people, their whole thing is to reveal the Creator and the creation. So they have to be, how do you say, devoted with the whole entire being. Everything that God's creating, you have to devote that, you have to put it in tune, in harmony with the Creator. And with the Creator, how do you know what this harmony means? Through the Torah. Through the Torah. So that's what the Moses in every generation does. The Moses in every generation, he activates the Jews that they use the Torah to know how to surrender themselves totally and to be healthy to the Creator of the universe. But this is a very easy thing to say. It works good when you're talking about music or or art or something like that, because, okay, so you have to suffer a little bit, or sports, but it's worthwhile. You see the goal clearly. But here you don't see the goal clearly. Here you don't see the goal. The goal is revealing God in the world. You don't see that clearly. It's not like going to a concert and you hear the pianist or the violinist play, and it's, oh, this is beautiful. It paid off all of his sacrifice. But the Jewish people, it doesn't pay off in a revealed way. It's not in a worldly thing. And it's not even in a heavenly thing. It's just complete self-sacrifice, doing what's right with no thought of results. You just do the right thing and you let God take over, because God is okay. I mean, God is creating us. He's doing it all anyway. So you have to have somebody like Mordechi to do this. Okay, so that's what happened in the holiday of Purim. What happened in the holiday of Purim? That's what this mimer is about, Purim. That all of the Jewish people, Purim Katan, and that all the Jewish people they just opted out to just forget about being Jewish. They said, the rules have changed. The rules have changed. The Torah is no longer functional. God obviously has left us. We had our first temple. We messed it up, and that's it. And the king of the world was this Achashverosh, who was very far away from, Torah observant Jew. But nevertheless, Achashverosh showed that he liked the Jews. As long as they just didn't, mess with his plans. So the Jews said, that's it. It used to be God was the king of the universe. Now Achashverosh is the king of the universe. So let's, how to say, blow with the wind. Come on. So all the Jews, they went to this meal of Achashverosh and they all liked it. And everything, all of a sudden from nowhere stands up Haman, and he makes this decree to kill all the Jews in one day. Worst decree ever in the history of the world on anybody. On one day to kill everybody, even the worst possible scenario you could have for any nation or whatever, kill everybody in one day. I mean, sometimes there's single people, you kill them in one day, the murderer or something, you take them an execution day, or all the Jews. I mean, how many Jews? There must have been 1 million Jews, how many Jews there were, but to kill all of them in one day, and there was no place to run, there was no time to run, and everyone was against them. And suddenly the Jews realized that this is a thing from God. And according to the narrative of Chabad, the Jews could have gotten out of the decree by simply denying their Judaism. The decree was to kill all the Jews, and they could have just said, I'm not Jewish, and that's it. And no Jew did it. Why? Because of Mordechi. Suddenly Mordechi said, you fellows, up to now, we've been talking these nice words about surrender and being in harmony with God and being a vessel for God and all these nice words. Well, this is it. This is what it really means. It means don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about next 5 minutes, because it might be that it's not going to happen. And if you do think about the next 5 minutes tomorrow, then you're going to opt out. You're going to say, I'm not a Jew. And saying I'm not a Jew is not such a big deal, right? And the Jewish people said, oh, no, Mordechi, it is a big deal. We're not going to do it. We don't care what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen. We're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about the next minute. We're thinking about right now. We are Jews. We're not going to deny God. We're going to get killed. Whatever happens, whatever God wants, that's what's going to happen. One thing for sure, we're not going to go against God. Huh? It says that was the first time in the history of Judaism that all of the Jews really got the point of Judaism. Got the point of Abraham. Abraham was the first Jew by virtue of precisely this attitude. Whatever you want me to do, God, I'll do it. And Adam did, and Abraham did it. Abraham did it. And Adam, for instance, the first man, he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He saw it. He couldn't blame him. He didn't have any teachers. He didn't have anything. Nobody's blaming anybody. We're just saying we got to do the right thing. So the Jews got the Torah, And as soon as they got the Torah, they all said, the Jewish people said, okay, what's in it for us? And when Moses didn't come back, they worshipped the golden calf, etc. So all the time, the Jewish people still had this little sort of, doubt in their mind, but what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of it? Came the holiday of Purim, and suddenly all of the Jewish people, for the first time in the history of Judaism, they got the point of Judaism. Or in the language, it says, in the language of the Megillah, it says, V'kibel ha-Yehudim et asher echil laso. Right near the end of the Megillah, says the Jewish people, they accepted what they began at Mount Sinai. At Mount Sinai, they received the Torah, but they didn't really accept it. They didn't really, deeply receive it. God gave it, but they didn't receive it. The Torah. What does it mean they didn't receive it? Of course they didn't receive it. Of course they got it. They received the Torah. How did they know what to do? How did they build the temple? How did they know? The whole first temple, the tabernacle, they knew what the laws were. They received it. It says, but they didn't really receive it in their essence. They weren't really surrendered to the Creator. The first time, all the Jewish people were surrendered to the Creator totally, without any questions, forgetting about any benefits, forgetting about any dangers. We're just going to do what God wants. The first time was in Purim. Right? This was after the miracle of Purim. Okay, now, here we go. Now we're going into, this is the 9th chapter of this Mimor. And here the Rebbe is explaining that what I just explained to you now is not 100% right. Why? Because what did I say? When Haman pressed the Jews and he said, I'm going to kill you unless you deny your Judaism. So no Jew denied his Judaism. And that self-sacrifice, that is called receiving the Torah. Well, the fact is that when does the sentence say that the Jews finally received the Torah? When was this? This was after Haman had been killed, after the Jews defeated their enemies, when there was no pressure, when there was no threat of life, when the Jews didn't have to stand in this self-sacrifice. They didn't have to. There was no pressure on them. They won. They defeated their enemies. The miracle of Purim happened. Already, it was finished. So what I just finished telling you that it was because of the pressure that was on the Jews. They were forced to make this decision, and they decided to choose God instead of choosing the easy way out. That's really receiving God because of the pressure. And here he's saying, no, that this sentence really, if you look closely at the Megillah, this sentence that says that the Jews finally received the Torah, this happened after the pressure was gone. There was no pressure. If so, what was it that forced them to have this self-sacrifice? If Haman has already been killed, there was no enemies. So what's the reason for the self-sacrifice? What? And this is the point of the Mimor, because that's where we are now. Nobody's forcing us, Jews, to say, I am a Jew, you can kill me, I'm willing to give my life for Judaism. Nobody's going to take your life. It's the same situation as it was back then. The danger is already over. And now is the time that the Jews sacrifice themselves. What do they sacrifice themselves? For what? They received the Torah for the first time, right? After Haman was died. Why? After Haman was killed. After Haman was killed. After they won that's when they were self-sacrificed. What do they have to be self-sacrificed? This is going to be a big lesson for us. Leish Lomar, we can say the Moshiach Mimor, that what it says in the Mimor. Perish, that what it says V'kibel Yehudim, that the Jews received. Et asher echil lasot, that the Jews finally accepted what they began at Mount Sinai, means in the day of Achashverosh, they finally accepted what they began in Mount at the Torah. When was the Torah, by the way? About 1,000 years before the miracle of Purim. That's when the Torah was given. Almost exactly 1,000 years. This is also according to the simple meaning that which the Jews finally accepted the Torah, and this was after the pressure was lifted from them, after the decree had been rescinded, after they won their battle, after the big miracles. According to this, that it says in the days of Achashverosh, they accepted what they began in Mount Sinai. If so, there must be two things. First of all, the Jewish people, like I explained to you in the beginning of this class, the Jewish people accepted, they were willing to sacrifice their lives in the time of the decree by means of their self-sacrifice, like we explained in the whole Mimor, in the Mimor of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe also, that he said in 1927. And also, there was some sort of an acceptance that the Jews finally accepted the Torah, not because of the pressure, not because of the danger, not in the face of death. This was after the miracle of Purim already occurred, that this Niliyot, this is even higher than the self-sacrifice they had when there was a decree. What's this going to be? We're going to explain this. Yeshlom, we can say, Shalter says similarly, is B'Nagea, the Katit more. What do we say? That the Jewish people have to bring pure olive oil that was crushed from the olives. In the beginning of the Mimor, it said that's the Jews. When the Jews are crushed, then they bring this pure light. Pure light. It says the same thing is also the being crushed. There's a type of being crushed by the Jews. Jews only put out, they only, act at ultimate potential when they're crushed. It seems there's two types of being crushed. There's one type of crushing that Achashverosh and Haman crushed them by these terrible decrees. But it seems there's a different type of crushing that's even better, that's even more effective, that reveals more the essence of the Jews. What is that? Can that be? We'll see. Sha'al Yadein in the Katitul, that which the Jewish people are crushed in the time of exile. This also brings to what's called the Mimor, the source of light. So again, the Jewish people, they're the secret of creation. The Jewish people, they're the secret of the future redemption. The Jewish people are the secret of blessing and holiness and health and meaning and joy in the world. But the Jewish people themselves, they have to do special things in order to do this. Only they can do it. What do they have to do? They have to crush themselves. They have to be self-sacrificing. And there's two types of ways to do this. One is when they're crushed from the outside, like Haman did. And then there's another type. Let's see. Kish Yisrael, when the Jewish people Nimsa'im are found b'matzav in a situation, Katit, they are crushed. Mitzad zeh, because of this. She'eshnam gezeros, that there are decrees. And there are all sorts of, pogroms and the holocausts. And there's decrees, whatever, undoing Torah and the commandments. Like it was for the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, in the time when he said this Mimor, 1927. I mean, anybody that knows of even a little bit about Stalin's Russia, which I do know a little bit. I don't know a lot, but at least a little bit I know. And I know that Stalin, first of all, was a terrible anti-Semite. He hated the Jews. I mean, he hated pretty much everybody, but he hated the Jews. Everybody else he hated because he was suspicious. He was a big paranoid. So he just killed white people up. But the Jews, he just hated them for absolutely no reason, just because they're Jews. He just didn't like Jews. That's it. But even more, he didn't like religion. Stalin didn't want anything that could in any way hide faithfulness to him. He wanted everyone to be faithful, to believe only in Stalin. You want to be religious? Okay, on your free time, good. But essentially, he destroyed religion. They had the certain synagogues and churches or whatever that were showcases. But except for that, he was, but especially Judaism. There were a lot of Hasidic Chabad that were sent to Siberia and that were killed and were murdered. In fact, the ones that were in charge of killing the Jews and persecuting the Jews were Jews. It's called the Yitzhak, the Jewish sector. In the end, Stalin killed all of them also. But they were the ones that put the Rebbe into prison. So in the time that the previous Rebbe said this mimer that he said, this what the Rebbe is speaking now that we're learning, this is built on the previous Rebbe's mimer. This was in 1927. And that was the time when people were just, he was, I don't know when the big purges were of Stalin, when the big purges were, but there was big purges that he made, and it was constantly going on, but there was really big, huge ones that he was just killing. Like, they say that he killed up to 50 million people, 60 million people. That nobody knows. In any case, at the time that he said the mimer, there was, Judaism was totally being quashed over there. It was being, circumcision was forbidden. Teaching Jewish children for sure was forbidden. No way you could teach children. Technically, you could teach children in your house, but if you didn't send them to the communist schools and they found out about it, they would send the parents to prison. They would put the kids in an orphanage. Al Yidei Zeh, by means of this, Megim, or you reach by Jews standing in self-sacrifice in these terrible, difficult times, as by means of this, they reach the source of light, the source of godliness, the source of the Jewish soul, the true secret of Judaism. That's when there's pressure from the outside. But then there's also another type of crushing, Shagam Yisrael, that even when the Jews Nimtzaim are found, B'matzav shel harchava, the Jews are found in a situation of wideness, harchava b'gashmius, widen physically. They have houses, they have cars, they have synagogues. They can have congregations. They can celebrate openly the holidays. V'gam harchava baruchnius, and also spiritually they can learn Torah. But the fact is, like now, but what? That we are in exile. What does it mean we're exiled? The temple isn't built. But because the temple is not built, so the Jews are not in Israel. Because of that, the Jews don't know. There's Jews that don't even know they're Jews. That's exile. Al derech hamatzav shaya, like it was after the miracle of Purim, that the Jews, it says, or that the Jews had light and joy and rejoicing, whatever, and happiness and glory. Over pashtus, gam baruchnis, also spiritually, the Jews, it was very good for them. After Haman and his decree was destroyed, so the Jews, it was very good. The king let if you know a little bit about Jewish history, so right after the miracle of Purim, Achashverosh allowed the Jews to continue or to begin it, the second temple, building the second temple. He had stopped it. The Yatera means even more, that even all the riches and the house of Haman he gave to Esther. The Jews really had it good. Shahaya az hamayla deshapcha, that the world, it says the whole world transformed. The world was on the side of the Jews. But nevertheless, Akati Achashverosh Anan, we nevertheless are still slaves of Achashverosh. So what do we got to be broken about? When Haman and Achashverosh made the decrees, so the Jews had to make a decision, either say, I am a Jew, I'm not leaving my Judaism, right? And you can kill me, but I'm not. Terrible decrees. But after Haman was already killed, and Achashverosh, he became a friend of the Jews, and he even gave all the riches of Haman to the Jews, right? And the Jews could do whatever they wanted to. So what do they got to be broken about? What do they got to be crushed about? the Jewish people are broken, and when they call it, they're crushed. But the fact that we are still in exile. Physically, everything is great. Even spiritually, everything is great. Spiritually, everything is great. But essentially, everything is sick. God is not revealed. And because of that, God is not revealed. What does it mean? That maybe everything is really good for me physically and me spiritually, but the Jewish people in general are in a bad shape. Al Yedei Katit, by being crushed, because the Jews are found in exile, then you get to the Mimor. What does it mean? Sure, everything is good, but it's good where? For me, it's good. It's good for the religious people. But there's Jews that they don't know they're Jews. So you can say, their problem. It's not my problem. What do I got to do? I mean, it's enough that I can have just to learn Torah and do commandments. I mean, I've got enough temptations and interruptions and problems of my own, that I can just sit and learn Torah all the time, and that I do it. That's it. That's the best I can do. And in fact, I have to really crush myself to sit and learn Torah. And that's a pretty good reason. I think that's pretty good. Comes along Mordechi Yehudi, comes along the Rebbe Lubavitcher, and he says, my friend, if you think that, then you're making a big mistake. A big mistake. And not only are you making a big mistake, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe is saying that's the only reason that I'm here. And that's the reason why Mordechai was here. And that's the reason why Moses is here. And that's the reason Moshiach is going to be here. To tell you never, ever to be satisfied with the world until godliness is revealed everywhere. And that everyone in the world feels their creator and serves the creator according to the Torah, the non-Jews, the 7 Noahide commandments, and the Jews, the 613 commandments of the Torah, and the Torah, the laws of the rabbis. And that should really crush us. If we think about it, it should really crush us. It's something like, let's say a person has, 10 children, and they're all geniuses and rich and they're successful and fine, beautiful. He's got one son. And this one son, he's a drug addict and he's whatever and gets in trouble with the law, and also the trouble. So on one hand, you could just write him off. Say, listen, he doesn't want anything to do with me. I don't want anything to do with him. It's a pretty easy way to do. But in a way it's a little bit not human. It's a little bit shirking your responsibility. I had got enough responsibilities for my other children. I got my own life to take care of. Right? Says, yeah, but it's a little bit cruel. It's a little bit, what do they call them? Nazi. Sure, it's going to be a lot of trouble. That's the why people in the world, they don't want to have children at all. They don't want to have children. Right? No children. Abortions, homosexuality. No children. Just live your life. Why? Because children are a problem. It's a big problem. What does it mean they're a problem? It's responsibility. And responsibility is the essence of a human being. And we Jews are responsible for the whole entire world. So we're responsible for all God's children. So if there's even one person in the world that's suffering, it should make us feel bad. Why? It's true, we can't go everywhere and cure everybody and do everything, but at least we can do a little more good here. And that'll reveal more life in the world. And it'll help, but it should bother us. And the Rebbe is saying, not just should bother us, it should crush us. We're going to see. Inyan is like this. The Zesh Yisrael, the fact that the Jewish people are in exile, are broken just from the fact that we are in Galus, just for the fact that we are in exile, that God is not revealed. Even when me personally, everything is great. We have wideness physically and spiritually. Because true, how can you be broken from this? Isn't that ingratitude? God has given us these big synagogues and gave us, here we're living, I live in the land of Israel. That's pretty good. The Holy Land. Here we are, we made it, right? Says the wrong, Rebbe, wrong. You can't be more wrong than that. If you can be satisfied with yourself and not be sensitive to those Jews that don't know about Torah, they don't know about commandments, they don't know about God, and even the ones that are in the land of Israel, you don't feel? So, okay, on the other hand, to be miserable all the time, you're not going to get anything done. But on the other hand, it should crush you, force you to be happy. Because the Ratzon, how can you be crushed when you're feeling great? I'm feeling great. I have a nice family. I have children. I've learned Torah. Says the Rebbe, what you got to feel bad about? Sheratzono emiti, because the true will of every single Jew is that God should be revealed everywhere. Until this revelation of God, that this is my essence. Therefore, the fact that in the time of exile, Ein Meir Gilui Elokus does not shine revealed godliness, like it was in the time of the Holy Temple, the first temple. And especially when you think about this, that the rabbis say, anyone who does not build, that the Holy Temple is not built in his days, Harizeh, this is as though Nechrab, it was destroyed in his days. Where does it say that in the Talmud Yerushalmi? Midrash Tehillim. If so, I can't say, listen, that the third temple is not being built by Moshiach. You know whose fault that is? It's that guy over there, the guy sitting in the Knesset. Those non-religious Jews, right? It's their fault. This is my friend. Don't fool yourself. The reason that those people are not religious, the ones you're saying that's their fault, the reason they're not religious is because of your fault. Or let's say more personally, because of my fault. The person you're blaming, that you say he's the fault of the whole world, the reason that you think he's the fault, right? And the reason he's not doing Torah, he's not acting properly, is because I myself am not acting properly. From this, the fact that God is not revealed everywhere, is there a constant situation. He's totally shaken up. That's called kutit, he's crushed. Even when he is at a very high level, Shemeir, it's that shines by this Jew, Gilei Alukus, revealed godliness. Bedugmas a Gilei Shahaya Bismana, bias like it was in the time of the Holy Temple. Mikol Makom, nevertheless, Mizeh from this, Shebechalalas Olam, that in the whole world, in Ein Meir Gilei, there's not shining godliness. Move and it's understood. Shagama Gili Shemeir, it's low that the revelation that is shining here, right, in Kfar Chabad or in Jerusalem, whatever, it means that what's shining here is also limited. So, because when there shines the revelation of godliness, which is unlimited, it should be everywhere. It should be unlimited. It can't be just in Jerusalem and just in the holy people and just in the religious people. When there's one place, even one corner of the world, that godliness is not shining, is because the revelation, even the places where it is shining, it must be limited. When this is what's brought in the Mimor of the first Rebbe of Chabad, that it says in Tikuni Zohar, if there was one tzaddik, one Jew, Choser B'tshuva, that would really return to God totally in the generation, the Moshiach would come. Why? Because by means of doing complete tshuva, Mamshichin would draw down revealed godliness and without limit. And this limit would be everywhere. Very sort of hard concept what we're talking about over here. Here what we're talking about is pleasing God. If you really please God, then the whole creation benefits. The reason why godliness, and when the creation benefits, if everyone in the world would really feel godliness, then everybody would change. There wouldn't be any more aggression or depression or confusion or lust or avarice or violence just wouldn't be in the world anymore. People wouldn't feel the necessity, they wouldn't feel that emptiness that drives them to take drugs or to kill people or to steal or to whatever, to commit suicide. Life would be simply more meaningful, more challenging, more mysterious. As soon as life stops becoming mysterious, challenging, then everything becomes boring. What makes life mysterious? When God is revealed. When God is revealed, suddenly you realize you don't understand anything. How is it that I'm being created? How is it that God is creating a plant, a tree, a wind, a person, how much more so? And that God's giving me my ability that I can do things and I'm not using it. All this shows that godliness is not revealed. And the reason it's not revealed is because of one person messing the whole thing up, and that person is me. Everyone should say that to themselves. And very simply, the reason why you shouldn't say something about somebody else, because you can't change anybody else. You can't change other people. The best you can do is be a good example. You can talk to people, you can explain to people, you can try to influence people, but finally people have to make their own decisions. The only one you can really change is yourself. And if you look at it, you can't really change yourself either. You can only do it with God's help. But in the end, you can change yourself. So when you look and see that the world is not the way it's supposed to be, so you know that the only reason is when I look at the world, see, it's not the only reason because of me. Because there's not revealed godliness by me. Why isn't there not? How do I know there's not revealed godliness by me? I'm sitting and learning Torah. I'm doing the commandments. Once in a while, I even really think about God when I pray. I get, emotional. But the fact of the matter is because it's not everywhere in the world, is a sign that also by me it's also lacking, and this breaks me. And what breaks me even more is the fact that I was just satisfied with it a couple minutes ago. I thought that I was 100% okay. How can I make such a big mistake? Like it's known that choleh, it says that sick is the gematria 49. Choleh. That choleh is 49, which indicates the 49th gate of understanding that's missing what's called the completion, 50 gates of understanding. So when there's the 50, all you have to do is just add one little bit of light, and that makes everything healthy. But once something is missing, so the whole means it indicates that even this highest tremendous level of understanding is still called sick. And it's known what the Tzemach Tzedek said, and here we're going to have to stop. Well, maybe let's see, maybe we can go to the end of the prayer. The Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe, said that he heard from the first Rebbe of Chabad when he was praying. He would say, "Ich will nicht, I do not want. Ich will za gar nicht. I don't want anything. Ich will nicht ein Gan Eden. I don't want to go to heaven. Ich will nicht ein Olam Haba. I don't want the world to come. I want only you." In other words, I want pure godliness to be revealed here in the world. And what's the big problem here? That's the fact. All there really is God anyway. But it means people have to change their priorities, and the only way to do that is if I do it. I have to do it first. Because the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Rebbe of Chabad, used to hear this from the Alter Rebbe. What does it mean he used to hear it? It means that it wasn't just once in a while, but it was a common thing you would hear the Alter Rebbe saying. And especially after that it was advertised. So if so, it must be because the Rebbes are general souls, root souls. So if so, the Alter Rebbe used to say, I don't want anything. All I want is you, God. Therefore, this gives now power to every single Jew. Every Jew can say, what do I want? The revelation of the essence of God. Every Jew, even me. To the degree, and what's not revealed, Mikol Shechem, how much more so in the time of exile, when it's not revealed even a little bit, Gile Or, that when it was like it was in the time of in the time of the first temple. That should break me. It makes me broken. Therefore, we request 3 times every day or even more. May God, when we say Musaf, we also say, may our eyes see you return, God, to Jerusalem in mercy. Then there'll be revealed godliness until the revelation of the essence of God. That's what it means, katit lamor, crushed. So the Rebbe is not just saying, Rebbe things and, Hasidic things and, interesting things and an interesting way of looking at the world and, setting the, telling you can do it, you too can be president of the United States. You too can be a millionaire. They have all these incentive things with the music in the background, playing bum, 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 bum. So a guy climbing up a mountain. Well, the fact is everybody cannot be a millionaire and everybody cannot be, a genius or the president of the United States. And you can't be. But so it's just saying it, you can be a little bit better. This is not what the Rebbe is saying. Every word the Rebbe is saying is relevant actually to each and every one of us. But you got to be a little bit crazy. You have to go out of yourself. That by means of being crushed from who you are, musician inside Golas. And the fact is that I am the cause of all of the difficulties in the world. I have to do a little bit more. It's not that you feel crushed, meaning that you feel depressed and you're just hopeless and helpless. Exactly the opposite. This type of crushing means you get new powers. Suddenly you realize, I got to do something good. I have to do something new. I don't know I can't do what everybody else is doing. It has to be something that's right. Ask your teacher, ask some. But it comes to the essence of your soul gets revealed. That the will of every single Jew is that God should be revealed until it touches the essence of our being. Right? What touches the essence of our being? Our children, our house, our reputation. These are things that shock us, that really motivate us. Well, saying the Rebbe is trying to tell us that, listen, don't forget you're a Jew. And the essence of a Jew is responsibility for the whole entire world. And you can do it. Don't think you can't. That's just a trick. What do you have to do? Not that much. Not that much. It could be just one little good deed. It could change the whole world. But you have to do that one good deed. And therefore, a person is broken and crushed from the fact that he's in exile. He's not going to let himself rest. There's no revealed godliness. He feels bad. This comes from the essence of the soul. This is what's called the Mimor of the soul. This is called the source of light. This is the attachment to God, which is an essential attachment that can only be found in this physical world. The attachment of a Jew to the essence of God. That's Abraham. That's what Abraham instilled in every single one of his children, every single Jew. How to do this? We're going to find out, God willing, next week. But meanwhile, we got to be a little bit crazy. You have to do a little bit more positive, say a little bit more positive, think a little bit more positive, learn a little more Torah, say more good words to people. I'll give you a small example. Yesterday, I had to go to the department of, what is it called, of registration or something, because I have a car. My car broke down, so I want to sell it, to the junk, but I can't sell it until I negate the ownership. Good. So I went to this office in Israel. The offices in Israel are usual, they're pretty confusing and everything, but people are nice, So anyway, so I said, listen, I can't just go there. I got to bring my tefillin with me and ask people if they want to put on tefillin. It's definitely not a thing that people do in these offices. Everybody's just there. They want to get out as soon as possible. And it ends up that people are there for almost as long as possible. You see your number coming up. They have like 20 big screens, and they shout out numbers are coming out, and everybody's yelling out, "Hey, where's my number? What? You passed my number." Or there's all these numbers that come out that nobody is there waiting for them. Anyway, so I took my tefillin, and I went there. And I went around and asked people, "Would you like to put on tefillin?" And a lot of people said they already put on. They said, "Thank you very much, I already put on." And a couple of people said, "No, they didn't want to." And one guy, he said, he said, "Well, I'm sick. I can't. I'm sick. I have a big problem." So when I was going around, he was just looking down, and I figured he wouldn't put on tefillin. So I said, "Well, what do you got? What type of a disease? What do you have?" He says, "I have schizophrenic. I was diagnosed as being schizophrenic, and I really suffer." So I said to him, "Listen, my friend, I think it's better a schizophrenic with tefillin than a schizophrenic without tefillin." And he smiled. It's just such a beautiful smile. People like that, not too much makes them smile. People. Anyway, so he smiled. He said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." He said, "I haven't put on tefillin for like 15 years. So I said, "Okay, so he put on." Oh, he was happy. He put on tefillin. Felt really good. Oh, Rega, he felt really good. Okay, Shnia. So you do a little something, and there comes a big result. Anyway, today somebody showed me that someone was there, and they took a picture of it, and it was one of the newspapers, something like that, with this Chabad guy, and this guy was with this big, beautiful smile on his face, and anyway. You have to do a little more. You have to be crazy, not to worry about what people think about you. Do good, say good, and the world will be good. Have a good week with Moshiach now. God willing, we'll learn next week. Shalom.
Bezrat Hashem, all the best. Good news.
You too. B'suras tovos.